America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. You wonder why the Democrat Party is moving so hard left, Marxist, Islamist left America. They don't have anybody with courage who's in leadership. They don't have anybody in courage who's in leadership. Hakeem Jeffries just endorsed Zohran Mamdani. Schumer sits on the sidelines despite the fact that his own faith is under attack, his city's under attack, but he won't come out because he's worried about his own reelection one day. The governor of New York, who's a mess, who inherited her seat from Cuomo, she endorses Zohran Mamdani 6 weeks ago or so, and he won't endorse her should she run again. Not yet, he says. So the governor, the Senate Minority Leader, the senior senator, the would-be Speaker of the House, all these New Yorkers, they don't give a damn about their state. They don't give a damn about their city. And they're surrendering the Democrat Party to the Marxist Islamists. You would think leaders in the Democrat Party would be defending the party. Even if it means, God forbid, they lose their seats, right? Is that really the end of the world, even if you're them? Is it really the end of the world? I guess power is such a glue they can't let go of it. What else are they going to do after all? So Mamdani has no real Democrat Party opposition. There's some people, but they're not in leadership. They're not in leadership. Now, there is a new poll out, interactive polls. Is interactive polls any good, Mr. Producer? It is? I mean, does that mean people have to go on the internet and participate, or people are contacted? What does that mean? Because if it's people going on the internet, that doesn't mean anything. People have campaigns and so forth and so on. But here we have Zohran Mamdani at 47%, Andrew Cuomo 29%, Curtis Lee with 16%. Now, if Cuomo were out, according to this, Mondami would be 49. Sliwa would be 41, an 8-point differential. Did you receive this too? I guess you did, Rich. And then without Sliwa, Mondami will get 49 and Cuomo will get 39. But Cuomo's not leaving, and Sliwa's not leaving. So I don't even know what the purpose of the poll is, other than to say, what if? What if? I'm not sure it would matter anyway. I have no idea. Because turnout's the key, isn't it? And I'm sure that Curtis and Cuomo are relying on turnout. Cuomo is not an energetic candidate. He did a good job in the last debate. So did Sliwa. But Cuomo is a fall-asleep candidate. That's the problem. And he couldn't stop Mondani before. So what will a world with Mondami as the mayor of New York look like? Well, every Democrat is going to be asked going forward if they support Mondami. Every Democrat going forward is going to be asked if they support one of his radical kook policies, whether it's the economic socialism or cultural Marxism. You're going to see abject failure in a relatively short period of time with his policies. He's going to attract illegal aliens. He's going to attract the homeless. He's going to attract drug users. He's going to attract criminals. Where are they going to go? They're going to go into the subway system. They're going to go on the free buses. They're going to go into hotels that he'll commandeer, like a Marxist dictator, to house them. All in the name of the people, of course. We've seen this before, but this will be even more aggressively so. You might even see the city go bankrupt. You might. It almost did under Lindsay. In the 1970s, a liberal Republican, spent like a drunken Marxist, but nonetheless, this guy's a real Marxist. He's the real deal. What else is he going to see? He supports prostitution, legalizing prostitution. I mean, is that a priority? Apparently so. Now, what does that lead to? Women being kidnapped, indentured servants, treating women like crap. But I haven't heard from any of the women's groups. None of them. Not with this Islamist ideology or this Marxist proposal. Prostitution. So you will see prostitutes on the corners. The police will not be able to arrest them. So you'll see that in the city as well. You're going to see less cops, because cops are not going to want to work for the NYPD under this mayor. Recruiting is going to be a disaster. People who can take early retirement are going to leave, and they'll move to Florida or somewhere else where they'll be able to actually be cops. You will see that too. You're going to see a housing market. A housing market, depending on what he does and how he does it and how fast he does it. It won't collapse outright, but the values will diminish, particularly when you have people leaving more than people who are coming to the city who actually have resources to buy a home. You're going to see the nation's poor, to the extent they can get to New York, moving to New York, illegal aliens coming to New York, because the benefits will be more in New York than anywhere else. This will be a heavy burden, particularly for middle-class, hardworking, blue-collar American citizens who are going to have to pay for most of this. Because a lot of the wealthiest people, a lot of the financial institutions and so forth, they're going to leave, as they should. Why would you stay? So the burden will be on people who can't leave, who have jobs that require them to be there, even though the jobs will be fewer and fewer. You're going to see retail institutions are going to suffer, not just grocery stores, clothing stores, delicatessens, pizzerias, and so forth and so on that line the streets of the city. The people who do stay, many of them are going to stay for reasons having nothing to do with the viability of the city, family connections, many generations. They don't want to leave. They have their home. They don't want to sell it. They can't get the number they want anyway. Cops and firefighters, if they can get out, they will, but otherwise they're stuck. They're stuck. You're not going to see a housing boom. So what's going to happen to the plumbers and the electricians? What's going to happen to the construction industry? The men and women, the roofers, the bricklayers, the asphalt layers, and on and on. It has a resonating effect through a city, has a resonating effect through an economy. You see, we know what works and what doesn't. There's been enough human experience with this ideology called economic socialism and cultural Marxism. There's been enough human experience, I can tell you what's going to happen. The only issue is whether it happens quickly or more slowly. You're going to depopulate the city of people who are taxpayers, who are hardworking, who are law-abiding. You're going to repopulate the city with the opposite. Criminals, people on the dole, public welfare, illegal aliens, and the like. And then you're going to see increased radicalization of the city. There's going to be a big move by the Islamists to populate New York City because one of them is their mayor. He will create an environment that's welcoming to them and unwelcoming to every other faith. There's not going to be a business in this country on the face of the earth that's going to want to relocate from another city or state or another country into New York City. Why would they? Mark my words. This is what's going to happen. And he will be buffered, he will be supported by an equally radical city council. Maybe there can be some checks on him in Albany, but Albany's hard left too. The governor's thrown in with the hard left. She's not a statesman, she's not a leader, she's not going to fight it, she's going along with it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. All righty. Look, I'm not trying to throw a wet blanket on a situation. The wet blanket is on the situation. That's the truth. The wet blanket is on the situation. Here is today, Zohran Mamdani with a group of Muslims outside a mosque in the Bronx today. Bronx, cut 6, go.
And over these last few days, these lessons have become the closing messages of Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa, and Eric Adams. Yesterday, Andrew Cuomo laughed and agreed when a radio host said that I would cheer another 9/11. Yesterday, Eric Adams said that we can't let our city become Europe. He compared me to violent extremists. And he lied again and again when he said that our movement seeks to burn churches and destroy communities.
You know, pal, here's the deal. Here's the deal, moron. We're on to you. That Sid Rosenberg's on to you. I'm on to you. Eric Adams is on to you. Cuomo's on to you. Sliwa's on to you. We're on to you. You're everything and worse. You hang around with terrorists, people who support terrorists, terrorist organizations. imams of that ilk? You have said things and you say things that indicate what you think and who you really are. Your chip off your father's shoulder as a faculty member at Columbia University, a vile anti-Semite, anti-American, and your family's received a small fortune, if not a big fortune, from Qatar, funneled to your mother. Don't tell us that we're Islamophobic when the ideology you support has slaughtered hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Muslims. That's the truth. And then you play victim. You are an empty suit. You're a sloganeer. You're a manipulator. You got it down pat. But you're everything. Sid Rosenberg says, you're everything. Curtis Sliwa says, you're everything. Andrew Cuomo says, you're everything. Eric Adams says, and most of all, you're everything I've said. That's who you are. Poor baby. Poor baby. You're the one that hangs out with a 1993 imam who was a character witness for the imam who was involved in trying to blow up the World Trade Center. You're the one who spews the propaganda Hamas, a mass-murdering Islamist blood cult, a throwback to the 7th century, barbarians. That's you. You're the one that embraces CARE, which has links to Hamas, which was founded by Hamasites. And I can go down the list. Don't play your victim crap. It's not going to fly. You may get elected, but you're no victim. You're a perpetrator. The things you've said about our country, the things you've said about Jews, the things you've said about our president, yes, you might as well be hanging out in Qatar or Turkey. You'd fit in perfectly. That's not a smear. That's a matter of fact. A matter of fact. Yes, you do support a global intifada, a global jihad. You used to sloganeer about it. Now you're offended by it. No, that's you, pal. We have you pegged right. Cut 7, please, go.
Growing up in the shadow of 9/11, I have known what it means to live with an undercurrent of suspicion in this city.
You know, give me a break about suspicion in the city against Muslims. The countries you admire, the ideologies you admire, the terror groups you admire. Suspicion of where your head is? Don't use 9/11 to justify what you've said, what you believe, who you pal around with, buddy. I, for one, am not going to put up with it. We're not going to tolerate it. You may get elected mayor, but I'm here for another 4.5 years. And I'll be on your ass every damn minute. We'll be right back. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Mark Levin, the Great One.
The Great One, Mark Levin.
Dial in now, 877-381-3811.
So Mandami's trying to bring out his base, which is the Muslim community, especially the Islamist parts of the Muslim community. And so today he spent most of the day, as I can see from these clips, talking about being victimized. He's a victim. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this man has said things associated with people and promoted things that are really unimaginable in the United States of America. Unimaginable. And now if you criticize him, or even if you talk about them or expose them, they pull this Islamophobia crap. Islamophobia. This has nothing to do with Islamophobia. It has to do with the Islamist radical ideology. Cut 8, go.
The bigger question is whether we are willing to say goodbye to something much larger than either of these two men. It is whether we are willing to say goodbye to anti-Muslim sentiment that has grown so endemic in our city that when we hear it...
Oh, give me a break. The people who are under attack in the city of New York are the blue-collar workers by the left, are the Jews by the Islamists and the Marxists, are the cops by the criminals, are the homeowners, the hardworking people of New York are under attack. And now it's going to get much worse. The New York Post had the numbers the other day. 62% of the migrant community is voting for this clown. That's how he's going to win. That's how he's going to win. 62% of the migrant community. And he wants to make sure that community turns out, especially Islamists. That's what he's doing today. And don't you dare criticize him, because if you criticize him, you see, you're an Islamophobia. That's not working. That's not going to work with those of us who see right through this bastard. He has said things about Jews, said things that should happen to Jews. I'm not familiar that any Jew has said anything like that to him as a Muslim. Whether it's my buddy Sid, my buddy Curtis, not my buddy Cuomo, man I don't know, the mayor, me. We have never said anything about him. Number one, that's not true. And number two, anything like the blood libel hate that he has for Jews, the hate that he has for this country, just like Tlaib and Omar and Sanders and AOC. That group that promotes him, the Democratic Socialists, these are Marxist Islamists. They want to overthrow this country. And how dare you criticize him for his own record, for his own words, for his own positions? How dare you do that? That's Islamophobia. So vote for me. Vote for me. Let's get past this Islamophobia and right into radical Islamism and Marxism. This guy's a fraud. He's no victim. He's a perpetrator. They changed the primary system in the Democrat for the Democrat Party effectively, so a relatively small turnout would nominate this jerk. Go ahead.
Not whether the words were...
Don't go ahead. I don't want to hear this bastard anymore. Cuomo has released an AI video ad that's actually quite good. Criminals for Mamdani. You see, this is the reality. More people are going to be hurt. More people are going to be maimed. More people are going to be killed as a result of this guy. More stores and homes will be burgled and robbed. private property destroyed, public places like parks, subways, public transportation and buses are all going to be ruined. They're going to be restrooms, toilets. You're going to see drug users and drug paraphernalia everywhere, Times Square and well beyond, homeless in the streets, police who can't do a damn thing about any of it. We've gone from Giuliani getting these squeegee guys off to the street to Mondami inviting Islamists, inviting drug users, homeless, illegal aliens into the city by the throngs, attacking success and successful people. This is the jackass who talked about raising taxes on whites and white communities. Isn't he, Mr. Producer? He's a racist. He's a bigot. That's what he is. I don't care if he's Muslim or Jewish or Christian or white or black. He's a punk. That's what this guy is. And I'll be on him if he's elected, day in and day out. Here's the Cuomo for New York City release AI video ad, Criminals for Mondami. Go.
Zohran Mamdani's opponents want you to believe he's an inexperienced radical whose policies will make New York City more dangerous. But what do his actual supporters think?
Mamdani isn't crazy.
He's just trying to even the playing field.
You know, give everyone a fair shot. Sure, he said multiple times we need to defund the police, but that was just a metaphor.
And yes, he did say crime is a social construct, but that was also a metaphor.
His main backer, the Democratic Socialists' ideas are common sense, such as
Decriminalizing misdemeanors, like shoplifting,
third-degree assault, trespassing, prostitution,
and drunk driving.
with plans to decriminalize all drugs. Mamdani will be a job creator for drug dealers.
Instead of helping us homeless get off the streets and into the mental health facilities we need, he wants to give us safe injection sites to do crack and let us sleep in subway carts.
These are actual policies Mamdani and the DSA want to implement on day one.
When a woman's being domestically abused, she finally won't have to deal with some pesky cop to arrest the abuser, but now a social worker to help, kumbaya the situation.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Mamdani is finally lowering jail sentences.
guilty! But Mamdani says you're free to go.
Who cares if legalizing prostitution statistically leads to an increase for sex trafficking of women and young girls by 70%?
You can't have safety without equality.
For unlawful abiding citizens like us, globalize the intifada.
I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal.
I'm a criminal.
Yep. I'm a criminal.
For Zohran.
For Zohran Mamdani.
I didn't have a real job until I was 30, but sure, give me the keys to the city. What's the worst that can happen?
Paid for by Cuomo for NYC.
This guy's never had a private sector job of any kind whatsoever. None. He's never had a real government job. He's an assemblyman who got nothing done. That's it. And so he speaks in these vacuous phrases. He attacks our country, attacks the city, attacks the system. When somebody does that, they're attacking you. They're attacking your parents and your grandparents. You built the city, you built the country. They did too. And in comes an immigrant and his family, just trash talking the country, trash talking the city. Affordability. I want you to compare the United States to any other country on the face of the earth. Tell me about affordability. Affordability. It's interesting, too, that he focuses specifically on grocery stores. I've talked about grocery stores many times here. How about the big ones we call supermarkets? You been to any of them lately? How about these warehouse places, Costco? Been to one of those? These are miracles of capitalism and Americanism. Nothing like this. On the scale that we have today, the Walmarts and so on, exists anywhere in the world. Certainly not in these Marxist Islamist countries. What is it that you want? What is it that we want? You go into a large grocery store, and we've talked about this. The variety of vegetables, fresh or organic, from all over the world. How many kinds of oranges? All kinds of lettuce. Fruits of every kind. You go to the meat section. Every kind of cut of beef. And 90%, 95%, 80, 85% ground beef. All packaged. Refrigerated. Fresh. Where else does this exist? Whole chickens, already roasted, chicken parts, dark meat, light meat, white meat. You go to the deli counter, 100 different types of sliced whatever you want. Go to the bakery section, fresh bread. So many kinds, I can't even name them. Some with 12 grains, some with 7 grains, some with 6 grains, no grains. Italian, sourdough, challah, you name it. Am I right, Mr. Producer? How many types of yogurt? How many types of butter and margarine? How many types of potato chips and pretzels and popcorn? How many types of candy? Detergent, toilet paper, paper towels, soda, juices, pre-made food, frozen food. You want flowers for your wife? Get the flowers. They're right there. Many of them have pharmacies right there for you. Over the counter, right there. 10 different types of toothbrushes. 10 different types of toothpaste. Different types of razor blades. Different types of deodorant. Whatever you want. It's all right there. And even though we complain like hell about the cost of drugs, and depending on the drugs you take, there are some that are very expensive because they are very capital intense to develop them, to figure them out and develop them. And there's a relatively small pool of people who take them in some cases when your drugs are very expensive. But that said, you know damn well that you often walk out of there with 3, 4, 5, 10 different types of drugs, and you haven't had to get a second mortgage on your home. That's for most of us. I understand there's exceptions. Affordability is not another place on the face of the earth that has anything like this. None. Not Western Europe, not Eastern Europe. None. None. You want ice cream? A zillion types of ice cream. Lactose intolerant? They got ice cream for you too. Soybean ice cream. Oatmeal ice cream. Real ice cream. Heavy cream ice cream. Ice cream sandwiches. Popsicles. Icicles. Italian ice. You want pizza? 50 different types of pizza. Oh, yeah. Red grapes, green grapes, organic grapes, seedless grapes. It's incredible, isn't it? You start to think about it, Mr. Producer? How about eggs? You want 6, 12, 18? What do you want? You want brown eggs, white eggs? You want large, extra large, extra, extra large? They're right there. It's incredible. How about Band-Aids? 20 different types of Band-Aids. My point is, ladies and gentlemen, New York City, any city, New York State, any state, we are so blessed by our economic system, by what has been our political system. For some guy to come into New York, his family are migrants from Uganda, to trash our grocery stores, to trash our economic system, to complain about bigotry when his family chose to come here, and on and on and on. This man shouldn't be mayor. How the hell did he even get into the country? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. So Mamdani is at a rally after he's at the mosque lamenting Islamophobia while you spew poison against America and Americans and our economic system and Jews. Now he's with his friend Letitia James. Cut 2, go.
We know that Donald Trump is coming after her because she did the right thing. She held him to account. She showed that no man and no wannabe king...
Okay, so here you go. Her case was a fraud case because of her. She's a fraud. There was no mortgage fraud. There was no fraud whatsoever. Everybody was paid before the due date. The law was twisted and turned. And in the case of Letitia James, you can't be... or have your primary residence in Norfolk, Virginia, and be the Attorney General of New York. Can you, America? And so there's Zoran Mamdani. There he is, spewing his stupidity, his ignorance, his partisanship, and his hate in defense of an alleged criminal who lied on her mortgage. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. It's amazing that how the Democrats fall in line, isn't it? It's incredible. I mean, here you have Letitia James. She's accused legitimately, substantively, of lying to get a better mortgage rate. And brazenly so. Your primary residence isn't in Norfolk, Virginia. That apartment complex has 5 units, not 4. And yet what she did to Donald Trump was outrageous. But Kathy Hochul stands right behind her, just like she stands right behind Mamdani. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They could be running Jack the Ripper. The Democrats would line up behind Jack the Ripper. Cut 3, go.
Our duly elected Attorney General, Tish James, will walk into a courtroom not to pursue justice as she has countless times on behalf of our great state, but to be subjected to a gross injustice.
How can anybody even be a Democrat anymore? I don't get it. I really don't. Now, Hochul, you know she's a liar. She's a demagogue, a propagandist. Listen to her. She's in court because of Trump. She's in court because she signed documents under penalty of perjury. That's why she's in court. And I guarantee if any of you did that, you'd get caught. And if you did do it, you might still get caught. And look how defiant they are. Look how self-righteous they are. Don't you find that kind of incredible? I do. Yeah, Letitia James, you know, at least keep your mouth shut, but they don't. They don't. It's incredible to me. Then you have Nick Ackerman. Nobody knows who Nick Ackerman is, but he was an assistant special Watergate prosecutor. You know, you got to really feel sorry for Richard Nixon, because these assistant Watergate prosecutors are all over radical left-wing TV shows. And they're all hacks. Every damn one of them. Absolute hacks. Nixon never had a shot. This guy's on CNN. CNN platforms them. MSNBC platforms them. You know, I understand the Ellison family's trying to buy CNN. It's a lousy investment, I'm sure. But I'm sure they'll do a better job of running it. No question about that. Couldn't do a worse job, frankly. Listen to this guy. This guy was an assistant special Watergate prosecutor. I didn't even know any of those were still alive, quite frankly. But apparently they are, with a lot of makeup. With a lot of oxygen, they get them going there. Cut 5, go.
What we really ought to be focusing on is this indictment, which is completely bogus. I've had a chance to look at the indictment here. I've had a chance to look at the underlying mortgage document. And the only crime that's been committed here is by Lindsay Halligan and Donald Trump. And
so Lindsay Halligan and Donald Trump committed crimes. See what I mean? Guy's an idiot. It's a partisan hack. Dime a dozen. And you looked at the mortgage document. Now, go ahead.
Who essentially brought out a criminal indictment that they know is false and was done just for the purpose of using government resources.
Now, how do you know that? First of all, they didn't. But how do you know that? He has no idea. But you see, he's a former assistant special Watergate prosecutor. Oh, very, very important. He's lived his life off that, you know. Every job he's ever had is because of that big deal job he had right there. So he must know something. Otherwise, for sure, CNN wouldn't have him on, now would they? Go ahead.
Official resources to go after Donald Trump's political enemies. And I say this because
I find it sickening, really. Stomach turning to hear these bastards one after another talk about the politicization of our criminal justice system after what they've done to this country. What they did to President Trump, candidate Trump, citizen Trump, candidate Trump again. It's sickening. Did he go on CNN and complain once about any of it? Maybe he did. I don't remember him. Are you kidding me? Sickening. Go ahead.
The element of this indictment, paragraph 6, charges that Letitia James didn't represented she'd be living in the house and that she would not rent it. Well, that is all false, because if you look at the actual underlying document, what they did is they cherry-picked out of it to take certain words. They don't put in the
fact... Hey, jackass, you may fool the people at CNN. It's not hard to do. She claimed it was her primary residence. Now, what are you doing in primary residence, Mr. Producer? You live there primarily. How many primary residences did Letitia James have? But that was not her primary residence. Go ahead.
Is allowed to rent on a temporary basis. They don't put in the fact...
You're allowed to rent on a temporary basis. Now, people who own homes know that. But it was never her primary residence. You see, if I'm sitting with this guy, I look at him and say, why you... I almost cursed. Why are you lying to everybody? The issue is whether she had temporary renters there. She seems to have permanent renters there. The issue is, what representation did she make when she bought it, that it would be her primary residence? And we know that's false. She lived in New York. She ran for office in New York. She later ran for Attorney General, another office in New York. Norfolk, Virginia, or whatever the hell it is, that was not her primary residence. Never, ever. It wasn't a matter of temporarily renting it. So I can never get these bastards on this program here, to be perfectly honest with you. Go ahead.
She doesn't have to live there. She just has to be available to live there.
No. Her intention was never to live there. It was impossible to be a elected public figure in New York. Was her intention to live there, Mr. Producer? You see what a BSer this guy is? But they give him the assistant special Watergate prosecutor. Oh, he was a biggie. This guy, he was unbelievable. Nick Ackerman. Who the hell's that guy? Nobody knows. Doesn't matter. Nick Ackerman, he's on CNN. He must be something special. That's why people hate lawyers. It's not hard to hate lawyers, to be perfectly honest with you. Go ahead.
They've completely taken the language to make up criminal...
Nobody took the language to make up anything. Moron. She signed the document. Her representation that she intended it to be her primary residence. She did not. It never was. And the host sits there like a bump on a log rather than asking questions. Well, how long did she ever live there uninterrupted? And how can you sign a document suggesting it's going to be, representing it's going to be your primary residence when you know it can't be and it's not? What about that? What do you mean temporarily rented it? It's all she ever does is rent it. There's so many answers to this moron. It's not even funny. But unfortunately, if you're watching CNN, first of all, you don't know what you're doing anyway. If you're watching CNN, there's something wrong with you at this point. There really is. You're one of a handful of people, and what are you watching? Some of the dumbest hosts in America and some of the most moronic guests in America. The only reason you watch CNN is to watch that data guy, Harry Enton. It's the only reason to watch CNN is to watch that guy. That's it. Otherwise, you get dumber by the minute. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
There's a reason I'm proud to say Pure Talk is my wireless company, because they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veterans. This month, Pure Talk is choosing to support Canines for Warriors, an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, then pairs them with veterans struggling with PTSD. These are men and women who serve with honor, but when they come home, their brotherhood and support network they had in the military too often disappears. Canines for Warriors steps up to fill the gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk, a veteran-led company, supports them. Choose a wireless company that shares your values. And with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could also be saving a ton of money. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/LEVIN and switch to America's wireless company, my wireless company, Pure Talk. There's a video out there where a reporter asked Benjamin Netanyahu, well, President Trump and his people said no annexing the West Bank, a.k.a. Judea and Samaria. We had a long talk about this, you and I, yesterday. Why is that so important to Judaism? And so Benjamin Netanyahu is pigeonholed, and he spends the overwhelming amount of time, the vast majority, praising the president, praising the vice president, praising the Secretary of State, praising the United States of America, thanking the American people. And at the end he says, really, it really doesn't matter. We're an independent country. Now that offended Anna Paulina Luna, who I do not know, certainly know of her. She retweets a tweet by somebody named Suleiman Ahmed, who writes, just in, Netanyahu overrides Trump and says U.S. can't stop Israel annexing the West Bank. He never said that. He says, it really doesn't matter what everybody's saying. We're an independent country. I explained last night that Netanyahu's not going to, quote-unquote, annex the West Bank, certainly not while Trump is president, certainly not while this peace situation is going on. He's made that abundantly clear. He said so. So what is offensive about what he said? Judea and Samaria have been the home of the Jews for 4,000 years, Anna. Check your Bible, Anna. Learn some history about Shiloh, about Hebron, about the burial sites of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, about Samuel. They're all in the Bible. King David, King Solomon. Why would the Jews dare to say that that land belongs to them? But more to the point, what did Netanyahu say that was so offensive? Let me tell you something. There's not another country on the face of the earth that's treated the way Israel is. Not another one. Oh, well, we send them this, we send them that. We send countries a lot of stuff. And when we were a budding country, a lot of countries did a lot for us, including France. We wouldn't be a country but for the French Navy. Again, that's American history. The Battle of Yorktown. This is why history is so important. Ancient history and American history. After World War II, did we go in and we say, you know what, Britain, you owe us everything. Keep your friggin' mouth shut. You do what we tell you to do, and you'll do it now. You want help from us? We laid down 400,000 men. You do what we ask you to do. Is that what we did? No, I don't think so. The way Israel is treated, there's not another country on the face of the earth that's treated this way. And let me be abundantly clear. If you're Jewish or you're Christian, or even if you're Muslim, but not one of these jihadi Islamists, those people are fighting wars for us. Because their enemy is our enemy. Their enemy hit us on 9/11. Their enemy hit us in 1993. Their enemy hit our Pentagon. Their enemy sought to hit our White House and our Congress. Their enemy killed 3,000 of our people. And on October 7th and beyond, they killed 20 of our Americans. They killed over 200 of our Marines. Anna, we don't have ground troops there. They do, because they live there. They didn't ask for this. They were attacked. And they'll be attacked again. Now, one of their enemies, Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, none of them have laid down their arms. Not one of them. They're still plotting. How could that be? We don't talk to Saudi Arabia this way. Do we? We don't talk to Qatar this way. Or Jordan. Or Iraq even. Where we did have men and women who died. We don't talk to anybody this way. And she writes, we're an independent nation. If you ask for our help, expect to be held responsible for upholding a very well-negotiated peace deal. President Trump has made it clear, if you want America's support, you must respect the terms and conditions that come with it. They are. They are. But they're an independent country, too. And unlike every single country that surrounds Israel, they vote for their leaders. They vote for them. We have a lot in common with them. We have nothing in common with Qatar. Zero. We have nothing in common with Saudi Arabia. Hey, Anna, I have an idea. Why are we making deals with Saudi Arabia? Shouldn't they be apologizing to us? Shouldn't they be explaining that 17 of the 19 hijackers came out of their country? What about that? I have another idea, Anna. Why are we cutting deals with Qatar? I'm sure you've been posting about this, or maybe you even have a bill in Congress to oppose it. They gave aid and comfort to KSM. And when our FBI had a beat on him and was getting him, they gave him safe passage. And shortly thereafter, he decapitated Daniel Pearl's head and plotted the attack on 9/11 against our independent nation, Anna. And Israel's having to deal with Qatar, and Israel's having to deal with Saudi Arabia, our brand new friends. How dare you, Prime Minister of Israel, say you have an independent country? How dare you say that? Don't you understand? We bought and paid for you and your people. You're servants to us. You want weapons to defend yourself? You want weapons to defend the West, Europe, the United States, to take on the enemy that has attacked the United States? Then you do what we tell you to do. Wow. I used to respect her. I didn't know her. I don't know her. But all I have to say is, wow, she retweets Suleiman Ahmed, who twists what Netanyahu was saying. Just in, Netanyahu overrides Trump and says U.S. can't stop Israel annexing. He writes the wheat bank because he's obviously illiterate in multiple languages. He's not overriding Trump. He's not doing anything. He's just making it clear we're an independent country. We decide what we're going to do. Could be 50 years, 1,000 years from now, who knows? But what Anna doesn't post is that he criticized the leftists in the Knesset, not from his party, in the Knesset, who tried to make this an issue. While J.D. Vance was there, while the Secretary of State's there, he condemned them for what they did. He said, why are you poking them in the eye? She didn't post that part. I wonder why. I'll be right back. There's a reason I'm proud to say Pure Talk is my wireless company, because they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veterans. This month, Pure Talk is choosing to support Canines for Warriors, an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, then pairs them with veterans struggling with PTSD. These are men and women who serve with honor, but when they come home, their brotherhood and support network they had in the military too often disappears. Canines for Warriors steps up to fill the gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk, a veteran-led company, supports them. Choose a wireless company that shares your values. And with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could also be saving a ton of money. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/LEVIN and switch to America's wireless company, my wireless company, Pure Talk.
Liberty's voice, Mark Levin. Talk with that voice now. 877-381-3811.
Man, oh, Manischewitz, Great Life, Liberty, and Levin tomorrow night and Sunday night. I want to tell you briefly about them. I have a great opening statement tomorrow night. In fact, it's so good that even the people who do the graphics said, wow, that's a hell of an opening statement, because I taped it. How do you like that one, Mr. Producer? And two fantastic guests. General Jack Keane, who's just the best of the best. Retired 4-star general, such a great patriot, such a great thinker. And Katie Pavlich. I'm a huge Katie Pavlich fan. We've got such a wonderful farm team of young, smart people out there who are coming into their own, and she's one of the best. And I try to promote the best here and on my Fox show. And Sunday, a big treat. A gentleman by the name of Julian Epstein. Now, some of you have heard of him, many have not. You're going to be glad you watched Sunday, because it is my opening statement again, killer, by the way, and Julian Epstein for the full hour. I don't put people on for a full hour who are lightweights. I don't fill time. I use every minute we get. Absolutely fantastic. And I predict right now, Mr. Producer and Mr. and Mrs. America, that after Sunday night's program with Julian Epstein, I'll never be able to get him back again, because every host on Fox is going to want him as a guest. That's how good he is. A Democrat. A Democrat, but not one of those Democrats. Incredibly articulate and thoughtful. I've known him for decades. Now, we don't keep up, we don't socialize, we don't, exchange phone numbers and stuff like that. Always smart as hell. But in some ways, like Reagan, he says the Democrat Party has left him. He's not prepared to leave the party. He's fighting for the party. And this is what I said. It's like Mondami, and you see Hakeem Jeffries just endorses him and so forth. You do need people inside the Democrat Party. They're going to fight for that party. Or we're going to be dealing with this enemy within, and it is an enemy within, as long as the Mondamis and the Sanders and the AOCs and the Omars and the Talibs and the rest of the conga line are running that party. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for us, we the people. I want to encourage you now, all in the audience. We talk about this. Sometimes I know I say things and they go in one ear and out the other. You're busy or you're driving. Please set your DVRs. Let's really make an effort. Set your DVRs. I know there's football. I know there's baseball, World Series. There's a lot going on in your lives. Apart from sports, too. Maybe go out to dinner, have a date with your husband or your wife or somebody else. That's why modern technology is so fantastic. So I want to encourage you. Big Levin surge. Set your DVRs for 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday on Fox. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday on Fox. That way you can have it when you come home, take a look at it, or the day after. In many ways, it's like a podcast of this radio show. You can listen to it anytime you want. Well, that's what the DVR is. So I want to encourage you, whatever you're doing, if you're home or when you get home, please go ahead, set that record. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday, Fox. That's my show, Life, Liberty, and Levin. You never know how much longer I'm going to do these things, seriously. My family doesn't want me doing all this stuff because we don't have enough time together. And as you get grandchildren and family are in different parts of the country, whether it's Tennessee or Maryland or Florida or wherever it is, you want to have time beyond the holidays, to be with your family. And by the way, one of the things I've always wanted to do, and my wife too, is to get into an RV and travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, Mr. Producer, and hit all the little towns in between, the diners, the general stores, just to meet people, just to do that, and bring the dogs with us. But that takes a couple of months if you do it the way I want to do it. I don't have a couple of months right now. Something's going to have to give. In a couple of years, something's going to give. That's the way it's going to be. So I'm going to determine what to hold on to, 2 or 3 years, and what not to hold on to. My first love is radio. You know that, right, Mr. Producer? It's my first love. It always has been. As a little kid listening to my little transistor Radio Shack radio, moving the antenna around to pick up, among other things, WABC or WOR, WLS. I could pick them up in Chicago. I could pick up the big Albany station. I could pick up these original 50,000 watt, 100,000 watt stations that were set up at the beginning of radio in strategic locations throughout the country. It's such an honor to be on these stations, most of them anyway. I'm on most of them. It's really a great honor. And, of course, modern technology now, there are other ways to listen to the program, and we try to maximize all the platforms. We really do. And I want to thank you for that. Senator Jeff Markey is a freak, fraud, and a phony. And why wouldn't he be? He's a liberal Democrat from Oregon. Now, these liberal Democrats for Oregon basically represent Portland, pretty much. Because a lot of Oregon is rural. There's a lot of Republicans and conservatives there. The problem is the cities. Jeff Merkley, actually not Markey, Jeff Merkley. He wants you to know we actually live in an authoritarian state right now. Right now. Now, let me ask you folks something. Depending on where you are in the country, it's Friday evening, becoming Friday night, late Friday afternoon, whatever. Is somebody stopping you from doing something? If you want to go to a movie, you want to go out to dinner, just want to relax, you want to take a walk. If you're Jewish, it's Shabbat. If you're not Jewish, maybe you're still going to your church or wherever. Maybe there's a Little League game going on, something going on in the kids' schools, whatever. Is somebody stopping you? I'm not talking about criminals and that. I mean, is somebody from the government bothering you? No. Anybody from the military? No. How about the National Guard? It's military, but it's a little different. How about that? No. Nobody's bothering you? How about ICE? Are they bothering you? No. Border Patrol? No. U.S. Marshals? No. What do they mean we live in an authoritarian state structure right now? What are they talking about? We have a president who complies with the Constitution, complies with the law, even though he's accused by those who don't comply with the Constitution and even don't believe in it, and don't comply with the law with their Soros prosecutors and everything, regardless of their claptrap, their pablum. Where's this authoritarian state? Now, these are the people who want to impose on us, DEI, who want to impose on us boys and girls' bathrooms, who want to impose on us confiscatory taxes and regulations, who say, stay out of the bedroom when they can't get the hell out of our house with their stupid rules. This is typical of Marxists and fascists, by the way. They project onto their opponents what they really are. We know they're the oligarchs and authoritarians. I've been calling them that for 20-some years. They finally picked up on it. How can you support the Constitution as we do and be authoritarians? It's impossible. They're the ones who seek to avoid it, usurp it. They're the ones who reject it. Remember? Remember who wrote it? They used to tell us all the time. White supremacists, slave owners. Then they wave it around. It's impossible for you or me to be that. That runs completely opposite of what we argue for in our principles. And Trump's not an authoritarian. How is he an authoritarian? Theodore Roosevelt issued over 1,000 executive orders. Donald Trump will have to issue more than 5 times the amount he's already issued in order to catch up with Theodore Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt issued 250 executive orders in his first year of the presidency, so he's already beaten Trump in a one-year record. Talk about an authoritarian, FDR. Tried to pack the Supreme Court. Did a lot of stuff. Used the IRS against his political opponents. Trump hasn't done that. Where's the authoritarianism? Trump hasn't done that. You got to make stuff up. You got to make stuff up like somehow Trump's coming after everybody, so he's going after an NBA coach and an NBA player. I don't even get that one. I don't get it at all. These guys are crooks. Great danger to professional athletics. Once people don't trust that these games are legit, they think they're thrown, that's the end of that entire sport. And all the players and everybody connected to them, done. Done. Tied in with the mob? What does that have to do with Trump? Nothing. Trump's adding a ballroom to the White House? My God, you would have thought he's tearing the whole thing down and putting up a mosque or something. Like no president's ever added to the White House or torn down parts of it and added to it. They have this tent out there every time they have a dinner, a formal dinner. He's saying, I'm going to fix this. And he and certain of his very wealthy friends, they're doing it on their dime. The guy doesn't even take a salary. But it's an authoritarian state structure. It's here right now. It's in place. So when this weekend you decide to go to the mall or shop somewhere else or go to a ball game or go somewhere with your kids or go out to dinner, whatever you do, you're looking over your shoulder. God, you're out to get me. No, you'd be a psycho. You'd be a nut. So why do these politicians keep saying it? Agitprop, Leninism, early 1900s. To use fear-mongering, to use propaganda, the worst kind, to manipulate the mind. Sloganeering, repetition. In order to get action of some kind, and usually violent action. And that's exactly what you're seeing. And you're seeing a lot of it. From the left, from the Democrats. Almost, if not exclusively. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
There's a reason I'm proud to say Pure Talk is my wireless company, because they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veterans. This month, Pure Talk is choosing to support Canines for Warriors, an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, then pairs them with veterans struggling with PTSD. These are men and women who serve with honor, but when they come home, their brotherhood and support network they had in the military too often disappears. Canines for Warriors steps up to fill the gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk, a veteran-led company, supports them. Choose a wireless company that shares your values, and with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could also be saving a ton of money. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/LEVIN and switch to America's wireless company, my wireless company, Pure Talk. Look, folks, Life, Liberty, and Levin, we're not always going to have a flashy object. My goal is to introduce you to people, places, arguments, and things that maybe you've never heard from before or of before. In addition to people who you know who are fantastic, but I actually give time to finish a question. So, I really try to use my format at Fox when I deal with guests as a way to intrigue you, entertain you, and inform you. Because, you know, Saturday evening, Sunday evening, you have 1,000 different things you could be doing. I am well aware of it. And this is why my Saturday and Sunday program are as powerful as they are. Because of you. Because we do something differently. Because I don't underestimate the intelligence of my audience, here or there or either place. And I never will. Other people do. I do not. One more big power hour, hour 3 when we return. You can hear us on radio, AM and FM. You can hear us on satellite. You can hear us on streaming. You can hear us on the Mark Levin app, the iHeart app. Ladies and gentlemen, you can put on a tinfoil hat and I think you'd be able to hear us. YouTube, you can hear us. Or open your window. I'm yelling as loudly as I can. We'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. If we lived in an authoritarian regime, there'd be no elections in Virginia, New Jersey. There'd be appointed governors. Congress would be closed down. So all these members of Congress running around, going on TV, trying to block ICE, they'd be shut out. Wouldn't they? The government would be, quote-unquote, open. The Democrats have, quote-unquote, closed it. The courts might as well go away because the president wouldn't have to pay attention to them either. None of this is happening. It's just so outrageous that they talk like this. This is this guy, Merkley. Cut 10, Mr. Producer, the Oregon nut job. Go.
I was just determined to ring the alarm bells about the authoritarian takeover.
This is a guy, another one who got up and spoke for 22 hours. You wouldn't want to be sitting near him, I can guarantee that. Go ahead.
The world is democracies no longer die because men with guns go in and take it over. Instead, it's electeds who erode the separation of powers and the checks and balances.
I love getting lectures from radical left-wing kooks. Radical left-wing kooks about separation of powers and the Constitution and all these things when they don't believe a word of it. They don't believe a damn word of it. So we'll ignore that putz like we normally do. If they had their way, they would shut down this program in 2 minutes. 2 seconds. Harry Enton, you know him, the CNN chief data analyst. He's looking at the data. He always gets worked up by the data. Oh, my God, I can't believe what I'm looking at. I can't believe. Which makes it very intriguing, I think. Well, what is it this time? Well, I know what it is, but I want to share it with you. What is it that he finds incredible? Cut 11, go.
But you said you found something surprising about how Americans feel about the economy.
I did! Yeah. Surprising. I would honestly, sometimes you look at the numbers and you just go, whoa, it kind of pops off the screen. This is going to be a contrarian take. What are we talking about? Well, you know, Matt was mentioning about the econ playing such an important role in last year's presidential election. The top problem facing the U.S. is economic per Gallup. Last year, look at this, 43% at this time, 43% of Americans said the top problem was economic. Come to this side of the screen. It's just considerably different. We're talking about 24%. We're talking about a drop of nearly 20 points. And more than that, we're talking about across all of the different political groups, right? Democrats, independents, Republicans. We see that the percentage who say the top problem is economic has been falling through the floor. And more than that, you know, we're talking about inflation. The percentage of Americans who say that the top problem is inflation has also been falling, which is, I think, very much surprising given all the news that we are hearing about the economy.
It really is surprising. How does this compare to, like, the historical look at how people feel about the economy?
Okay, so, you know, let's talk about, we'll go through history, right?
Yeah,
let's take a look. The top problem facing the United States is economic. And the average midterm election, it's 35%. It's 35%. Look at where we are now. Again, it's 24%. It is lower. Fewer Americans right now are saying the top problem is economic than historically have said that the top problem is economic. So it's not only that the top problem being economic is lower than we were at this time last year, it is lower than we have historically been despite all the news about how the economy is supposedly softening. So you just look at these numbers and you just go to yourself, wait a minute, there's something going on here with the American public.
Let me help you out, Harry. May I help you out? Even though you're the chief data analyst, I'm the chief logictician. Yes. The reporting has been wrong. The reporting has been propaganda. While it is true for certain sectors of the economy, certain segments of the population, things are not better. Right now, if you work for the federal government, and you're among those not getting paid. But for other parts of the country, mostly in the private sector, they're literally not feeling this so-called shutdown. It's not affecting them. Now, if they want to go to a national park or something like that, it'll affect them. But the point is that there is economic growth. The point is that gasoline prices are down. You see interest rates sort of a little bit coming down. Things aren't as perfect as the president wants them. He wants those interest rates cut. He wants the government opened. He wants those tax cuts to kick in. But all that said, it's nothing like what the Democrats and the media are saying it is. That's the disconnect. The media lie, the Democrats lie. And they repeat themselves. Go ahead.
It's economic news, but yet the percentage of Americans who say the top problem is economic has actually been falling and is lower than it normally is.
It's fascinating. All right. How are people feeling about the shutdown vis-a-vis whether that's having an impact on the economy?
You know, the story of this segment has essentially been that fewer people are saying that the economy is a top problem than historically were a year ago. And so perhaps not surprisingly, we'll end on this note. Harm shutdown is having on the economy a great deal or quite a bit. Back in 2013, the last time we had this measure during a shutdown, it was 65%. You come over to this side of the screen, again, it's significantly lower. It's 48%. It's less than a majority. So what we're talking about here is, again, fewer Americans are saying the top problem is economic compared to last year and historically. And what we're seeing is fewer Americans are saying that the shutdown is causing
enough
a great...
already. I'm getting a headache. No offense. Getting a headache. Yes, well, the truth shall set you free. Isn't that right? Where's Jesse Jackson these days? I understand he's quite ill. I mean, I don't know, but I thought that's what I heard. Okay. The truth shall set you free. The media ought to try it a little bit more often. Oops. Hold on there, folks. Modern technology screws up everything. But isn't that true? Yeah, I think it is. California threatens to arrest ICE agents. Nancy Pelosi says in San Francisco they should arrest ICE agents. In Illinois, they should arrest ICE agents. Okay. These people waving the Constitution around. Local and state law enforcement cannot arrest ICE agents who are doing their jobs, who are doing as they are directed to do. It's called the Supremacy Clause. And you can imagine what would be happening if I'm wrong. You'd have an absolute civil war in this country. One city after another, one state after another. But look at these frauds, these phonies, these buffoons. Newsom, Pelosi, Pritzker. First of all, what kind of name is Newsom? What kind of Pritzker? Anyway, so they're encouraging local law enforcement basically to take up arms against federal law enforcement. What else could they possibly mean? Arrest ICE agents. Arrest them? Now think about this, America. Arrest ICE agents. Now, Representative Schneider in Michigan, nobody knows who the hell he is either, but nonetheless, I'll make him famous, or he's infamous. Democrat Representative Schneider writes Breitbart, on if migrants let in under Biden get health benefits, asylum applicants are here legally, he says. Now, it's interesting he says that, because he heard me say this on the show last night. You see, what they're doing is what Biden did, and now what they're all going to be doing, is they're going to claim that illegal aliens aren't illegal, because under several of the twisting of the laws by Biden, he didn't make them legal, but he allowed them to stay here as if they were legal for a period of time under different pretenses. And so it is that which the Democrats are using to claim, we're not funding illegal aliens. We would never give them health care. That's against the law. And so they play a semantical game. They break the law. On Thursday's broadcast to C-SPAN, Washington Journal Representative Brad Schneider of Illinois, Democrat, responded to questions of whether migrants were allowed into the country under the Biden administration would qualify for taxpayer-funded health care by saying it depends on the circumstance. So a great caller, actually, was listening to this program. And those people who've applied for asylum and are going through the process are here legally. No, they're not. Host Mimi Gerges asked Congressman, as you know, Republicans are accusing Democrats trying to give government health care, Medicaid to illegal immigrants. Democrats are denying that's the case. However, there's a large number of people that were paroled in the country under the Biden regime. See, they all listen here. Are they considered illegal immigrants to you, or would they under the Democrats' plan? Simple answer is, unless you are here under legal authority, you do not have access to Medicaid. And what the Republicans are saying is, well, no. If someone shows up in an emergency room, they will get care. All right. Anyway, she's onto them, the host. The caller's onto them. That's the great nature of this program. It is ubiquitous, every corner of the planet. I told you this is what they're doing in order to claim, no, of course illegal immigrants aren't getting health care. Depends what the word is. Depends on what the phrase illegal immigrant is. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, it's always a pleasure. It's rare, but always a pleasure to have our buddy Bret Baier on. And he's a good man. He's a friend of mine. He does the news straight, which makes him a great journalist. There aren't many of those left. And he also, every couple of years, comes out with these fantastic books on the presidency and presidents. And his sixth one is Teddy Roosevelt. I would argue it's his best book. It's just a fascinating book, fascinating subject. Teddy Roosevelt's a very complicated figure and a very important figure. And he's got this great book out. I want you to run to Amazon, and we have it all over our social media. It's a great read this week, and they'll deliver it tomorrow. To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. Bret Baier, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Isn't it easier to do radio than TV? I mean, as far as I know, you're sitting there in your underwear, right? It's just the truth.
I'm dressed, but there's no makeup.
Okay. By the way, on that note, my wife says you put on more makeup than I do. Now, it's not that I put on more. I have to put it on more often. You understand. It's weird. All right, let's get to it. This is a great book. We had you on the TV program. I told you it was a great book. It's a tough subject. You know, some presidents are, they're just white bread. This guy is really dynamic. Sometimes he has conflicting viewpoints, changing viewpoints. What is your thumbnail sketch of this man?
Well, first of all, he kind of jumps off the page. You know, the anecdotes about him, how he talks, the passion, the energy. He is a figure that is really interesting in history. But he is an enigma. You can't kind of pin him down. What this book focuses on is, as president, his wish that his legacy be that America is forward-leaning in the world, that it is a global leader. And so each one of these books, and it's hard to believe, but there's been 6 of these that we've done: Eisenhower, Reagan, FDR, Grant, Washington, and now Teddy Roosevelt. Each one has looked at a soda straw moment in history that maybe was overlooked. And this soda straw, looking at it, is that Roosevelt wants to be forward-leaning. He does so by reaching out to Russia and Japan, that is in a territorial dispute that's devolving into a war quickly and could be a world war. He says, he telegrams, he writes them, says, I will host a peace negotiation, and he gets them to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And he shuttled diplomacy. He goes back and forth. He sets up the logistics. He does it all. And eventually they get a peace deal, a treaty. And for that, America is recognized, and Teddy Roosevelt's recognized with the Nobel Peace Prize. That moment, history doesn't really say is the biggest thing for Teddy Roosevelt, because as you mentioned, there's about 9 different lives of this guy. But it is really what his legacy will be. We turn into a superpower as the nation turns into the next century.
And yet, he was what we would call today a progressive. I mean, he was closer to Woodrow Wilson's domestic ideology than he was William Howard Taft, and he got very angry at Taft. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Taft First of all, on the progressive stuff, he is. He was a capitalist. He was for capitalism, but he said he wanted capitalism for everyone. He, obviously grows up in a wealthy family and kind of an elitist background, but he is always taught to care for the little guy and to really protect the downtrodden. He's the first president that gets involved in a labor dispute in a coal mining strike in 1902. He files 40 antitrust lawsuits against, big companies, which doesn't go over too well. But on Taft, when he's leaving office, he thinks Taft is going to essentially be a rubber stamp on what he's been doing. And Taft takes a different road, much as Roosevelt took a different road when he took over for McKinley after the assassination. But he gets mad and decides, I'm going to run. He's not following what I thought he was going to follow. He was much more conservative, Taft, and he becomes the Progressive Party, the Bull Moose Party. He gives a speech in Milwaukee where an assassin tries to take him out. The bullet hits an eyeglass case and 50 pages of a speech in his breast pocket. It gets into his chest. He's bleeding, but he delivers a speech for 45 minutes. And his force of personality gets him the most votes of any independent party, more than Ross Perot in that race against Bill Clinton and George H.W.
Can you imagine if he had been assassinated, you would have 2 presidents out of 3 taken out? I mean, just horrific what was going on then. Now, at the beginning, though, he had been a very powerful governor of New York, and they wanted to get him out of New York because that was the, financial center, and it's one of the reasons they offered him and gave him the vice presidency, no?
Exactly. He's, each one of his jobs, as state lawmaker, he was a troublemaker. He was kind of stirring the pot. The establishment couldn't stand him, and he became this populist. As police commissioner, he's rankling the rank and file, and he's going after corrupt cops, and he brings a reporter with him. He causes trouble. As New York governor, the same thing for big business, really a problem. And the establishment says, we have to get rid of this guy, or we have to take care of him. What are we going to do with him? Well, at the time, vice president was the place to box somebody in because it was largely ceremonial. And, McKinley's friend, Senator Hanna, says to the president, all you have to do is stay alive for 4 years to prevent this crazy guy from becoming president. And 6 months later, Teddy Roosevelt becomes the youngest president in our history.
When we come back, Brett Baer, and I hope you'll stay with us another segment, I want to dig more deeply into this man, his family, how he grew up. A lot of our Republican presidents, some Democrat presidents, use him as a model, use him as an example. McCain did. In many respects, when he was running, he admired Roosevelt very, very much. The book, ladies and gentlemen, To Rescue the American Spirit, get it on Amazon.com. I want to encourage you to go there right now. Any major bookstore tonight and over the weekend when you do your shopping will have it. It's a great book, To Rescue the American Spirit. Brett Baer, we'll be right back.
Mark Levin. The Thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
We're here with our friend Brett Baer at Fox News, at least for now, I hear, Brett. To Rescue the American Spirit. I just thought I'd dig that one in. It's To Rescue the American Spirit. You're going to love the book, folks. If you like this show, if you like what we talk about, you're going to love this book, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. That'd be the United States, obviously. So his youth initially was pretty tough, wasn't it, Brett?
It was. He had debilitating asthma. He could not really even get out of bed. His mom at the time didn't think he was going to amount to much. Some people didn't think he was going to live. He lived his life, inside, looking through a window. And they tried everything. In those days, they had some weird remedies. The parents made him smoke cigars and drink heavy black coffee, which did not work and made him more sick. But overall, he got outdoors, and eventually he outgrew the asthma, but it took time. There's this amazing shot, a picture in the hour on Fox Nation where we found where Abraham Lincoln's funeral, the procession is going up Broadway past the Roosevelt brownstone, and there are two kids in the window, and one of them is Teddy Roosevelt.
Isn't that amazing?
Think about that moment.
Yeah.
And the next time that they would interact or see each other would be on Mount Rushmore, Lincoln and Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah. But then he grew out of that, and then he became extremely athletic and so forth, right?
He did. His father really bucked him up, and he said, you have to get through this. He spends a lot of time outdoors. He becomes a boxer. He really builds himself up. And when he's governor of New York, he gets this boxing coach, and he comes in and he starts, jabbing with him, and the guy throws a jab, and he says, "Stop. This is not working. You have to hit me." And the boxing coach is sheepish, but it's the governor of New York, and he says, "Fine." And he hits him, and then Roosevelt gives him a 1-2 and knocks him out. He was a big, tough guy. He was only 5'10", but he was kind of like burly.
And the Rough Riders. He was really a Rough Rider. He saw action, didn't he?
He did. He went out to North Dakota in the territory, in the Badlands, to find himself, because his love of his life, Alice Hathaway, giving birth to their daughter, Alice, dies, and his mother dies in the same brownstone on the same day, Valentine's Day, and the desperate despair and grief forces him to go out west. And he lives out there for 2 years, kind of recovering from that grief. But he meets interesting people, ranchers, cowboys, a whole bunch of different people. And when he gets back, and after being New York Police Commissioner and going on to Assistant Secretary of the Navy, he resigns when the Spanish-American War starts because he wants to fight. And he recruits the guys that he worked with and was alongside in North Dakota, the ranchers and the cowboys. And he also recruits guys from Harvard. And that Star Wars bar of fighters become the Rough Riders that he brings to Cuba and to fight in the Spanish-American War.
So he loses the race for the presidency, even though he gives it a hell of a shot. What happens to him after that? What does he do? And how old is he when he passes away?
So he gets the presidency at 42. When he dies, he's 60. He's young. He travels the world. He loses, obviously, at that Bull Moose run. He decides he's going to go even further. He goes to South America and does this crazy trip down what was called the River of Doubt. He almost dies from malaria and other diseases. Comes back, and he's actually the leading candidate for the next election. But his son, Quentin, dies as a fighter pilot in World War I. And that despair, that grief, many people believe is what killed him at age 60.
And he died from what, a heart attack? Yeah.
He did. He died in his sleep, peacefully, and but it was a heart attack, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, this is a fantastic book, folks. To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. To Rescue the American Spirit. Why did you give it that title? What did you mean by that?
Because I think the thought that America was going to be great in the world was a thought that we wanted to have spirit to lead. And I also think that at the time, there was all kinds of, whether you could get the country together. He had this thing, new nationalism, which in today's parlance might be America first. Pretty close. And there are a lot of similarities in this book between the president we have currently and this president. His energy is nonstop. But the forward leaning on foreign policy is pretty significant.
And the forward-leaning on foreign policy, he built this majestic navy, right? And he put it to use. And the Panama Canal, didn't that begin under him too?
It did. So on the Navy front, Japan starts acting up, and he decides that America needs to show its force in the world. So he paints the battle gray ships white, gleaming white, and called the Great White Fleet. And he sends this armada of ships, this strong force around the world. Congress says, "What are you doing? We're not paying for this." And he says, "We'll deal with that. Go." And these 16 ships sail around the world as a sign of peace, but strength. And it works. America is recognized as a strong power. Panama Canal, McKinley wanted it through Nicaragua, and Congress was stopping the whole thing. He pushes it through, gets Congress to sign on, and then goes down there and shows how the Panama Canal is being constructed.
It's a remarkable book. I think it's your best, and you've written some really fantastic books. It's right up there with your Reagan book as far as I'm concerned. To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. You can go right to Amazon right now, grab your copy. It'll be delivered to you, or tomorrow when you're shopping, tonight. Any of the, big warehouse stores or bookstores. By the way, Barnes & Noble has really muscled up the number of stores. It's beautiful now. Don't you like Barnes & Noble? Have you been there lately, Brett?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love going in there and just walking around and having a coffee.
Yeah, me too. And you're going to be at the Reagan Library. I think that's my favorite place in the world. You love it too, right? You're there often.
I love it. I love it. I've been there every book, and they come out in big force. Yeah. And let me tell one quick story, Mark, before you let me go, because signing at the Reagan Library, I did the 3-day series, the Eisenhower and Reagan and FDR, and I'm doing the FDR book, signing the books. A guy comes up to me and says, "Listen, I'm an 8th grade teacher, and I have a 3 days class with my 8th graders, and I'm using all 3 of your books."
Wow.
And I said, "This is exactly why I did this." And so I zoomed into that class for 2 hours.
Oh,
and,
wow.
It was the best part of the whole process.
Isn't that cool? And it's just a great place there. I get, they give me a cot, I'll live in the place. That's how much, That's how much you love it.
I agree.
All right, Brett Baer. Fantastic book. To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. We wish you all the best. Give the folks at their library our best, and God bless you. Be safe.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
I even choked him up. See that? He's a good man, Brett Baer. He really is. God bless him. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I would like to say, if I can circle back to earlier in the program, if Judea and Samaria don't belong to the Jews, then the Bible is wrong, Mr. Producer, isn't it? Then God is wrong. It was God who put the Jews there, and it was God who said, this is their home, this is their place. Is God wrong? What is this word annex? I talked about this the other day. How do you annex what is your ancestral homeland? Look at the language that people use now. Annex. Annex. Annex it from whom? Annex it from whom? So if Judea and Samaria, which they keep calling the West Bank of Jordan didn't even exist in the time period we're talking about. Our nation is going to be 250 years old. The area of the world we're talking about is 4,000 years old. That's how long the Jews have been there. If you're a believer in the Bible, if you're a person of faith who believes in the Bible, then how do you square this? You don't get to annex this unless we say you can annex this. God already said so. And they're not annexing anything. Now, as a practical, modern issue, Netanyahu already said, we're not doing this now. This was a setup. So what is her name, the representative, Mr. Producer? So why would Anna Paulina Luna retweet some unhinged buffoon? I'm told that she's friendly with Matt Gaetz. Is that what you told me? Well, that explains that. It's a bad judgment call. We go to America every Friday in honor of you. Here we go. week is officially over. The week officially begins right now. Don't forget Life, Liberty, and Levin, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Please set your DVRs tonight. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel, and you, the American people. God bless you, folks. Good night, Spritey. Good night, Griffey. Good night, Pepsi. Good night, Smokey. Good night, Zelda. Miss them all, really. Good night, Indy. Good night, Patton. Good night, Rory. Good night, Gigi. Good night, Marty. And good night, Barney. Good night, Dad and Mom. We're holding down the fort. Good night, Leo and Joe. Good night, Bernard. Good night, Teddy and Lou. In America, good night. I'll see you tomorrow night on Fox. Be safe. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless.